Rolling? Cool. All right, guys, well, welcome back from lunch. Hopefully you liked that. I think that food was pretty freaking delicious. So the next few things that we're going to go over, we're going to cover demographic research next, which is a very, very good topic, and I'm going to show you guys a few tools or things that you probably don't know about. I'm not going to show you the typical ones you probably see everywhere. Then we're going to go over a couple of my methods. We're going to go over some reporting, some campaign objectives, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just letting her get some photos back here, so we're going to do like little like points over here. All right, there we go. All right, close your eyes for a second. There we go. Okay. Let's see if okay, I'm just going to breeze over this stuff. I was just going to actually completely leave this out, but just be aware of what temperature your traffic is. There's basically hot, warm, and cold. You can always break it into subcategories beyond that. Hot traffic will be people like already on your list, or they've already bought your product, etc. Warm traffic would be someone that's maybe like a fan of your page. They've been to your website but didn't convert. They've maybe just heard of your brand, but they haven't really bought anything from you yet. And then cold would be like your majority of media buys. They've like never heard of your product. They've never bought from you, and so on. So the way that you want to treat these types are just a little bit different for each one. Basically, for hot traffic, you can just basically take them right to the lander. You don't really need to like pre-sell them, so to speak, because they're already hot. They're already like ready to buy, basically. They just need to kind of be pushed over the edge a little bit. With warm traffic, you basically need to add like one additional step so that they do get hot, right? This can be an advertorial, it could be a VSL, it could be a pre-sell, it could be a quiz, a survey, just something, right? And you can sometimes shortcut that actually by just doing like a really good video as your ad, or doing like a Canvas ad with your advertorial in it. Can work really good also. And then you can bypass that step because you're using it there. But just know that when it is warm traffic, you need to warm them up and get them hot, right? And then when it's cold, typically you want like one extra step beyond that. So you're going to want to go, an advertorial to a VSL to a lander, or maybe a quiz to an advertorial. Basically, you just need like 2 steps before your lander. Again, just roughly, it's going to be dependent on which industry you're in and so on. But all right, for affiliate offers, you should use a pre-sell or squeeze page. Make sure it has terms, privacy disclaimer, etc. This is really important. You should all do this, even if you have nothing to do with affiliate stuff. I would check your MyWatt score for if it's a Shopify store. Check it for that. You just go to mywatt.com, and I think you have to download the toolbar, and then just go to your site, and you just see if it's like green, yellow, or red. If it's red, you need to go get some positive reviews. Have your friends like go to your site and give you some positive reviews. If it's yellow, do the same thing. If it's green, you're okay. This is what the system that Facebook uses to determine if your site is like friendly or not, basically. Get a unique tracking domain, and make sure you place your pixel everywhere, basically. Okay, cool. So demographic research. Quantcast, you guys should all hopefully know about. It's decent. I don't really use it much, honestly, but it's something you can look at. SimilarWeb's a pretty cool tool. I'm guessing you guys probably know about that also, so I'm not going to spend any time on that. If you don't know about this tool, go check it out whenever you have a chance. This site, I'm definitely going to show you guys because it's amazing. And it's funny, at the last mastermind I did was during the government shutdown, and this site was shut down too. So let's hope it's funded again here. Yeah, that's cool. Back in business. So this site is really, really cool, especially for these. If you're running U.S. traffic, this is only good for the U.S. But it has data on like almost anything you can imagine. It has household income data, which zip codes have the highest credit card complainers, education levels, which zip codes have certain diseases or sicknesses, etc. It has so much data in here, it's insane. I'll give you guys an example of how I use this. I was running a corn farmer lawsuit offer for a lawyer a couple years back, and I tried going on Facebook and targeting like farmers and corn farmers, and You know, farmers was too broad. I was getting too many people that had nothing to do with corn. Corn farmers was so small, I wasn't getting anybody. So I was like, oh, I'll just go on data.gov to the agriculture section. I found a zip code list of the top producing corn zip codes in America. Sounds kind of funny, right? And then I just loaded those zip codes right into Facebook, and boom, I had like a massive ROI campaign. I think I was doing like 300% ROI with like my very first ad. It was amazing. On an audience that was small, but it was so targeted that I was able to literally like every single person in my audience was you know, on a corn farm, because those farms take up like a whole zip code. So, but there's so much stuff in here, like consumer. There's like a complaint database. I mean, you just have to literally like go through here, and it might take you a good 30 minutes to go through and like search and find what you're looking for, because there's like 245,000 data sets. Yeah, you see like credit card complaints. Changes to the next one. But yeah, there's federal student loan. You can see like which ones have the highest student loan debt. There's just so many uses for this. You're just gonna have to kind of figure out whatever it is based on, you know, whatever you're running. Okay. Next one is iSpot.tv, which is a tool I really love. Okay, it's like a TV commercial spy tool. So I'll just use like Geico as an example. I'm sure you guys all know Geico, the auto insurance company. So you can go in here, and we'll just open up a few. So obviously we know videos are super important on Facebook, but sometimes it can be hard to think of an angle. A lot of these big companies have already done a lot of market research. They've paid for focus groups, you name it. You know, leverage that data for yourself. So you can come in here and say, okay, this one aired 1,100 times and it last aired today. So that's a good indication that it's probably still working. You know, then you can like watch the video, kind of see like what angle they're going with. Stupid. But you can like just get kind of an idea of what you can do. Let's see, this last aired on something Estados Unidos on NBC Universo, so like a Spanish channel. So you can get ideas for targeting though, which is also really, really cool. Here is Mama's Family on Logo. I guess that's a channel. Not familiar with the channel, but almost every TV show I find and almost every channel have very big followings on Facebook. So when you can target those channels, those TV shows, etc., you have typically very little competition, and it's a targeted audience also. Who's Stalking Me on Lifetime? That's that video. MASH on WGN America. It's aired 6,000 times. So you know, you can kind of see like what's working. Target MASH, try targeting WGN. It just gives you kind of a nice some targeting options that you might not have thought of. Some of my best campaigns ever, I've been targeting TV channels and TV shows, because if you think about it, there's a specific demographic that watches like The Price is Right, you know, or like Judge Judy, or you know, Jerry Springer or something, right? Like those kind of shows. So you know, just think of you know, the Discovery Channel, etc. So they all have very interesting demographics. All right, next. Okay. So this next one is you can do demographic research on Facebook. There's like spy tools and whatnot for Facebook, which are okay, but they stop working all the time. And let me turn this stuff off before we get crazy here. Turn off chat. All right, so you can go in here and type stuff like free shipping, okay, in quotes, and then it'll find any ads and whatnot that are public that have the words free shipping in them for e-com. But you can go a step further and say like, and we can see like a jewelry or something. And we're going to go to posts. All right, and then you can see all the posts that have those words in it. So you're going to look for one that has a lot of likes. Oh, that's funny. Actually, this is one of my old ads. Result 7 doesn't have a ton. Do like a necklace or something. So basically, you can just go through these, see which ones are still active, see which ones have a lot of likes, comments, and shares. You can just kind of get some ideas of creative-wise what to do. You can check out their landing page, see what their landing page looks like, check their price points, and so on. So it's just kind of like a mini little spy tool. It's kind of built into Facebook. Audience insights. I don't really feel like going over that. Okay. All right, next. So next, now we're getting all into Facebook. Okay, so here's the different campaign objectives. I'm hoping you guys know these. So I'm going to breeze through them. Page post engagement. This is obviously if you just want people to engage with your post. Okay, that would for a video that does include video views. Now, the video view and campaign objective is obviously if you just want people to view your video. Page likes, pretty self-explanatory. Clicks to website, also known as traffic. It's just people that are clicking to your site, but they're not generally going to do anything else beyond that. Website conversions is the one we, of course, almost all of us use. Brand awareness is more for big brands that for ad recall, it's not typically going to get you any conversions. Lead ads are pretty cool if any of you guys do lead gen, or you can do lead gen for e-com, as Nicholas Kuzmich just went over at the event, which is pretty cool. But those are those little lead forms that are built into Facebook. Then you have the product catalog, or catalog sales it's called, or dynamic product ads, whatever you like to call it. How many of you guys are using DPA for your Shopify store? Oh my God, like only a few of you. How many of you guys have Shopify stores? Like a lot, okay. Whichever you guys don't have DPA set up, you're literally like throwing away so much money right now, it's insane. DPA is easily like the highest ROI out of any of my campaigns. And it's like takes literally like 10 minutes to set up. I'm not going to go through the setup, but as I guess an idea, actually I'll throw that into ad leaks in a video or something. But for those of you guys that may not know what it is, all that does is like if you have a bunch of stuff on your Shopify store, you have a lot of different products and so on, right? You don't want to go set up a retargeting campaign for each product. It's a big pain in the ass. So instead, you just hook it up to a product catalog in Shopify, to Facebook. And then it automatically will show product A to people that looked at product A. It'll automatically show product B to people that looked at product B on your site. So it automatically does dynamic retargeting for every product in your store, which is awesome. That again, it's just like the multivariate testing. This is like an immediate thing you'll get ROI on. So if you don't have this set up, that would MVT and product sales should be like what you're doing tonight. Like forget going out unless you're Liz, you can go out. But that should be like a top priority for you. Local awareness. Oh, you have a question?
Yeah. Will you see much of a difference if you're just sending most of your traffic right now to single landing pages if you set up DPA ads?
Single landing page is not your product page?
No, a product page.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you'll see a massive difference because it has to go to a product page to be able for it to track it. Like if you're going to a lander and they're never hitting a product page, there's nothing for Facebook to show them because they haven't seen a product yet. But as soon as they start looking at products, or if you're sending them to the product page, that's when you're going to notice the biggest difference from DPA. So yeah, you absolutely should still set that up. You notice you literally like tomorrow it'll be like your highest ROI, and every day it will. Yeah.
Can you set up a custom conversion in Facebook and tell Facebook it's a product page if it's a lander?
You could, but then a custom conversion doesn't pass through the content ID, so it's not going to link it back to a specific product. So then it won't work in DPA. It's got to be like a specific product. Yeah.
You can get around that a little bit if you do DPA custom conversion. Sorry, thank you. Thank you for running over here. You can do a custom conversion and then run your own like carousel ad of whatever would be shown on that page. So you make your own DPA. It won't be dynamically pulling, but it'll basically showing exactly what it is that you want them to show. Make sure you uncheck the show best. Yeah. How would you say it, Jordan?
Yeah, it's like yeah. Thank you. It's like let Facebook show whatever image first based off whatever the consumer is. So it'll show the image that the consumer is most likely to click, the user is most likely to click. It's just a check mark, like Nick said.
So if you're sending, if people that saw product A are getting retargeted by ads for product A, what would be the difference between that and a dynamic product ad?
Well, oh, you mean besides? You mean Between DPA and traditional retargeting?
Yes.
The difference is, well, I'm actually going to log into my own ad account and show you exactly what the difference is as far as stats go. But I mean, it's technically practically the same thing. It's just like I think Facebook must prioritize DPA or give you better placements or something. It just seems to work way better.
It's a newish feature, so they may be like.
It's been around. Yeah, it's been around for a little while, but. Okay, so you can see here's my ad account for my masterminds and stuff. Okay, so here's literally like here's lifetime. I pretty much only do retargeting. I've done a little bit of cold traffic. So you can see here this top campaign has spent $41,000. Okay, on retargeting specifically. That's regular retargeting, not DPA. And you can see that my it wasn't tracking ROAS, but back in the day before I was using Shopify, so it's not exactly accurate, but 3.5 ROAS. Okay. You can see my DPA, which is active currently, has spent almost the same amount, 38,000, and that has a 6 ROAS. So it's literally going to be like your highest ROAS across the board. It's just amazing. Yeah.
So do you think that you can?
Oh yeah, Mike.
Do you think that DPA has any sort of benefit for like single product scores or single product brands?
I don't think so.
No.
Not really.
It's just like, might as well use a different angle on remarketing.
I would still test it just because I think Facebook prioritizes it because it's like a different objective. It's still that catalog sale objective, so you're going to get shown to different people. So I would at least test it, but yeah, in theory, it shouldn't be any different. Yeah. But I would still test it because Facebook's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then so the next one is local awareness. I don't even know if they still have that. They keep taking stuff away. This bottom one, though, if any of you guys have brick and mortar or any of your clients are brick and mortar, this is a game changer right here, okay? It's a store visits objective. And what it does is you show your ads to people just like normal, okay? But instead of having a pixel that tracks conversions, it tracks it with their GPS on their phone, okay? So if they come in within like 30 feet of your store's address or GPS coordinates, then boom, it counts as a conversion in your ads manager, and you can see exactly what ad it came from and everything, right? Just like a normal conversion, okay? So if you have any brick and mortar clients or something, store visits is like literally a game changer. Companies have been like wishing they had this feature for a long time. Imagine what you could do for like any big brick and mortar, like Apple or Target or anything like that, what you could do to track people getting into their store or a restaurant or I mean anything, that's a game changer. So. Okay, so next I'm going to go over the 3-8 method, but I'm going to modify it a little bit for you guys. All right. This is how I was setting stuff up until very recently. 3 campaign. This is like a testing strategy, by the way. This is not like a scaling strategy. I want to make that clear. So I'd set up typically 3 campaigns with 8 ad sets in the first 2 campaigns and 1 ad set in the other campaign with 8 ads per ad set. Okay, that's where the 3-8-8 comes from. So step 1 is you'd set up your conversions campaign with 8 ad sets. Again, that's minimum, and then 8 ads in that ad set. Typically, it's going to be 4 unique ads duplicated once. So that's 8 ads total. Okay, but it's only 4 unique ads. All right, step 2 is a video views campaign. Which I'm finding less and less is beating conversions as far as conversions go. A year ago is a different story. So now I allocate much less budget to video views than I used to. But I would still set that up and do 8 ad sets minimum. Again, the exact same targetings you use in this campaign, I would use in this campaign also, with the exact same ads also. And it's very important that you share post IDs on your ads so that all the likes, comments, and shares are all shared. And not all different on every single ad. If you don't know how to do that, I don't want to cover it here, but on adleaks.com there's an article on how to share post IDs. So if you don't know how to do that, I highly, highly recommend you check that out. All right, and then step 3 is a PPE or page post engagement. So I just set that up with just usually 1 or 2 ad sets, nothing crazy, and then 8 ads in that ad set. Also, again, those same ads that are there, I'm just putting into there also. Again, sharing those post IDs though. Because the engagement needs to increase on a post ID level, okay? Okay, I already went over that. And this is basically what the breakdown looks like. You got your conversions campaign, and you've got your 8 ad sets there with your 8 ads in each ad set. And these are all the same. I just didn't have room to put them all there. You'd be able to see anything. So, all All right, and then the video views literally looks exactly the same, just a different objective. And PPE, same thing. I'll just do like 1 or 2 ad sets with those same exact ads in there. All right, then typically I'm doing a manual bid around 3x of whatever my actual cost per sale is. If you're going to do lowest cost instead of target cost, then I would do like a 5x. And then you want to do your budget for each ad set should be 8 times your bid on the conversion campaign. So that would get you about, on average, over 20 conversions a day per ad set, which is nice. This is going to be a little bit different on CBO. So in the coming month, I'm going to be redoing this method completely for CBO, but it's still going to have the same, basically just going to be like on a campaign budget level. I'm going to like do the math and work it out, back it out to that. But it's going to be, I'm just going to be telling you to set the minimum ad set budget at around, so you get 20 conversions per ad set and so on. But and then you should spend basically like 8 times whatever your normal cost per sale is on each ad set over 3 days before you pause it. So if your sales cost like 20 bucks, you should be spending at like $60 a day roughly for 3 days. So a total of about 180 bucks on an ad set before you pause it. That's minimum. I would recommend higher than that. That's just like if you want to cut stuff early, which I don't recommend, but it does work. Any questions on this before we continue? Nope. All right, cool. Next is a campaign structure, super important. I see this all the time. And even the guy, even the company that we hired to help run the iStack ads, I saw them make the same exact mistake, and people make this. The biggest veterans all make this mistake also. They have too many campaigns. If you have a campaign for conversions, you want to try to put all your ad sets in there. You don't need like 80 campaigns, okay? When you do that, each campaign, there's a lot of data stored within a campaign level. So when you start a new campaign, you're basically throwing a lot of the previous data out the window, which in some cases you might want that, right? But in a lot of cases, you don't want that. In most cases, you probably don't want that. So instead of like, you have a new ad you want to try, a new ad set you want to try, something like that, instead of making a whole new campaign, throw them in your existing campaign. Okay, that'll make a big difference, yeah.
Is that true if you have say if you have a Shopify store with 2 products that have nothing to do with each other? Is that still the same?
Then, yeah, good question. So for example, let's say you have a store that's like all jewelry or something, and they're all around the same price also, then I would put them all in the same campaign, okay? But to your example, let's say you have a sporting goods store maybe, and you have like different sections of your store, and you have like, basketball, baseball, football, right, different sports. People that, play hockey are very different than people that play like, basketball, just like a different demographic. So in that, then you do want to break it down by campaign because you don't want that data to be shared. Another example would be, let's say that you're running a campaign and you accidentally delete your pixel from your thanks page or something, and you don't realize it for a couple days, and your campaigns are still running. Then your average cost per conversion on that campaign will be really high because you're not getting any conversions according to Facebook. What I would do a lot of times in that case would just be like ditch that campaign, dupe it into make a new one. So basically if your campaign goes to shit, make a new campaign. But if your campaign is doing good, then just keep adding things within it. Okay, so now naming conventions. I'm only going to spend a minute on this because Jordan did a really good speech at iStack all about naming conventions. And I kind of adopted a very similar system to what you use for the inspired by you. So I'm going to show you guys a couple examples of naming conventions that I use. All right, let me zoom this in a little bit. So let's look at this one, for example. All right, so you can see that just like he mentioned, when it's ever like an interest, I'd use like the hashtag symbol. And then if it's a lookalike, I use the percentage sign. And then besides that, I do it a little bit differently. So I do like the interest first, then the geo, then men or women if it is one or the other, then the age range, then the size of the audience, then the placements. And you guys can do it however you want. It's just important that you keep it consistent across your ad account. And the reason for that is this. So let's go to the ad view. This is what I want to show you guys. So what I like to do and what actually made a really big difference in this campaign was when I did this. So I have all these different ads in here, right? And I wanted to say like, how is each ad doing individually, right? Like how, you can look on your own, ad set by ad set, but that's a big pain in the butt. So we'll look at this one, like getting started, thumb 6. So we'll just copy that, go search, ad name, paste. Okay, so I can see that this one on its own got, let's see, 5 sales at $127 a sale, little high, 638 spent, not a whole lot of spend on just that ad. But then you can go and say, hey, it doesn't contain that, and see how everything else did without that. Actually, I'll use the example because there was one ad that was like hogging all my spend. Let me find it real quick. There was one ad that was hogging all my spend, so I was wondering like, hey, should I get rid of it? Oh yeah, it's this one right here. A different campaign, I guess. Let me find it real quick. Get more than last 30. There we go. This was the one I was looking for. Okay, here we go. Perfect. Okay, so this campaign overall, this specific campaign spent 16 grand. Ad name contains. Okay, and out of that 16 grand, 4 of it, so 25% of the whole budget was spent on this one specific ad. Okay, at $142 a sale, 4 grand spent. Okay. So then I was like, okay, what about if I remove this ad completely? Like, how would it do without this? Pretty bad. $218 overall per sale instead of like $140. So basically, just when you name things like consistently. So I just with my ads, I could get like I should get a better naming convention for my ads, but usually I do it with like the name of the copy. So like this ad copy is like, oh, are you getting started with Facebook ads, yada yada yada. So I just call it getting started. And then this one's a square video, so I just do square video. And then since I test a lot of thumbnails, it's thumb 6. And then X post means it's an existing post, and it's sharing a post ID. So that's just kind of how I go about naming mine personally. If it's a slideshow, I denote that. If it's like my promo video, that's in there, and so on. But then you can basically just do search, filter, etc., and figure out how things are doing on their own. On an ad set level, you could go in here and say, hey, how are my lookalikes doing compared to my non-lookalikes? You can say, hey, search ad set name, anything with a percentage sign in it. Okay, so my lookalikes, overall was $234. Anything non-lookalike, $157, which is interesting. So it just gives you like another way to like view your data that's very interesting, and you just have to make sure though that you label things properly. And if you do it properly, you can sort it out by your age or the geo and see how US or tier 1 is doing versus versus US, or some of these I did all placements, some of them I did desktop and mobile newsfeed only. So you can just sort it by a lot of stuff and see some very interesting data that's very helpful. Question?
Yeah.
We all want to help.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much of a difference it would make as long as you're consistent, but it seems like you prefer to use descriptive kind of names, like actually describe what's in the image rather than say image 1, text 3, headline 4, and then cataloging that somewhere else. Is that just personal to you? Like
that's just personal preference, and as long as you keep it consistent across your ad account, then it's fine. It's like kind of like whatever you want to do, but as long as you keep it consistent, then across your whole thing, then you can do account-wide search or filter and see like how it's doing, how it's doing basically.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I personally have a descriptive name for the copy, but then just a number for the thumbnail.
Okay.
I could name the thumbnail too. Yeah, it's not a bad, but still work in progress. But it's kind of whichever you prefer, whichever one's easier for you.
As a follow-up question, is there any kind of software or anything that, or maybe just a spreadsheet, I guess, that's good for like cataloging creatives, like that you use, and then obviously multivariate tests and stuff together?
Not that I know of. I don't know if anyone else wants to jump in on that one.
I made a post earlier this week about like the resources we have because our agency has heavily relied on like the creative feedback loop, and our naming conventions is like video from influencer page, 4x4, where it's landing, like very specific. So like when we export, because naming conventions are for, sometimes you have a small team, you don't need crazy naming conventions because you know your account pretty well. But when you have like a junior and a senior, and then you have like an offsite data guy, like that's when you need naming conventions to and separate different exports. So depending on how intricate your team is, that's kind of where how intricate your naming convention is from campaign ad set to ad.
Something we do, it's not the most advanced solution, but we call it a creative map. And that's where we take a Google Sheet and we'll put the name of the angle, and then we'll put the image name, the headline, the button, and then the post ID right next to it. So you have a map of everything with all of the different variables. You know exactly which posts are doing, and then you just use that same naming convention in your ad sets. And then you always have your post IDs in one collective place where everyone can access them. So that's what we do. It's pretty low tech, but it works.
That's cool. It's a good idea. Nice. Any other questions on naming conventions before we continue on? Oh, and then my campaign naming conventions is a little bit different. You see here and here, I have like the sneak attack, cloud, CBO. Yeah. All right. Anyway, let's continue on. All right. So next is videos. So Facebook loves video ads. Hopefully you guys are using video ads. If you're not, again, you're just leaving a lot of money on the table. There's a few tools that you can use. iMovie is pretty good. Then there's a few that are all right, like Magisto, Slidely. Those are okay. Those are kind of like drag and drop builders. Cinemagraph or Flixel are like those images that are like where just part of it's moving around. I'm sure you guys have seen those. Animoto is a cool tool. That's probably like one of my favorites, where you just like, it's like a drag and drop, and you can just do like easy text overlays. Nothing crazy. Biteable is like a new one Maxwell Finn turned me on to, where you can make like super, like I think it's like 6 to 10 second videos, and you just have to have like basically like an image. You don't even have to have an image, but you can just have like an image or some text, or ideally even a little clip, and it makes you like some really sick videos. And it's really there's a free version, and the other version's like $20 a month or something. So it's very cheap tool. That's one of my new favorite tools for videos.
I'm starting to see in my feed some ads where it's just a background color and text, 6-minute video, just like what you would do in a, like what Facebook lets you do in a conversation feed. I can choose my background and then, have the hyper bolded large font post, but they're running that as a video. Wondering how they're doing that, getting around the text limit. Are they doing that?
It's a good question. So the text limit only applies to the thumbnail. So you can do that. You can totally do that, and then you just have to pick a thumbnail that doesn't have more than 20% text. Then you're fine. Yeah.
We haven't actually used it yet, but our account manager said there was a tool that we could use if you have a certain spend. They kind of give it to you for free as a trial. I think it's called Shutterstock. But you can provide basically like a logo, a picture of your products, and background images, and then they kind of put it together as a video, which it's more kind of like a GIF, but I think it's for short Instagram videos and that kind of thing. So I think there's a couple of tools that Facebook can allow you to use with certain spend, I guess, if you ask your manager.
Yeah. So there's a tool. I did a video on it actually in Ad Leaks, but there's a tool built right into Facebook that lets you do some pretty cool little slideshows. Not the slideshow tool. It's like the old one. The new one, it says like create video template, or video templates, I think it's labeled. And then you can do like horizontal videos or vertical. And then, you can just pick a few videos as a background. It asks you for some text. It does like little text layovers, and it just spits you out a video, which is really nice. So I actually use that all the time. I really like that tool. So that one's really good. You can, so if you need stock footage though for your video, which you almost always will need at least a little bit, I like to get my stock footage from videoblocks.com, my audio from audioblocks.com. I typically don't really worry about the audio because most people on Facebook, I think it's like 80% of people have audio turned off. Then I get the question, like, how long should the video be? And that's kind of, there's not like a set answer there, but the answer would be, I guess, like 15 seconds to 3 minutes, roughly. And basically, the more expensive your product is, and the more confusing or more you have to educate the consumer, the longer the video needs to be. So let's say you're selling like a pen, regular pen, and it's like $3. You only need a 15-second video, right? There's not a whole lot you can say about this pen. People know it's a pen. They know what it can do. You know, just got to tell them why it's better than other pens. When I was selling my Amphora water, I had to educate people why their water wasn't that great and why mine was so good, and it's a tough sell. So I had to have my videos were like 2 to 3 minutes long, and it was expensive water also. So basically like 15 or 30 seconds to 3 minutes, depending on product price and how much you have to educate. One of the biggest ways that if you guys are already running video, one of the biggest ways you can just immediately increase your ROI is by testing different thumbnails. That thumbnail makes a massive difference in how many video views you get and your cost per view, your cost per click, and so on. And it's super easy. You literally just dupe your ad and pick a different thumbnail. You already went through the trouble to make the video, you know, like make sure people see it and just try different thumbnails. It's a really quick, easy way to increase your ROI. And I'm going to show you guys a video real quick that I made myself. And you can make them, so this video I made is a little thing that most people don't know exists. In iMovie, there's a thing called movie trailer templates. And you basically just drag and drop video clips in, and it shoots you out like a super pro looking video. So I'll show you guys a little example. Okay, I'm gonna turn the audio to my computer for this one. Okay, so this video I made all by myself in 1 hour. That 1 hour includes trying to figure out iMovie for the first time. Okay, that 1 hour also includes exporting. It also includes finding the stock footage and downloading it and putting it in here. So 1 hour all in for this video. Okay, and also this video has all stock footage. There is no actual real footage in here. It's all stock. Come on. There we go. Oh. All right. Cool. So yeah, I mean, for 1 hour of work, that was like a really, really pro looking video. And there's like 30 or 40 different templates that you can choose from. There's ones that are more like for romantic comedies and ones for action movies, and you know, so they all have different kind of sound attached to them. And you literally, they'll just drag and drop your video clips, and it automatically sizes them like to the perfect length, to like so it goes with the music for you. And then those the text that you see in there is just like a template. You just literally like change the text to whatever you want. And it spits you out a really, really sick video. So that's definitely come in handy a lot. And then I want to take a minute to show you guys real quick just a couple other videos that I see that have done very well, and how you see you can make nice and simple ones. Let's just look at one of these. So this is using I made this one with Facebook's video template tool. And it did really well. It doesn't have to be like some crazy expensive production or something. It's literally just like how to set up Facebook ads without wasting time and money. Boom, that's it. 6 seconds. Nice and simple. I find, in fact, that the more professional looking the video, in fact, it usually does worse. Depending on what you're promoting, of course, but let's see, then I have a pretty cool slideshow I did in here too. Let's do, there we go. Yeah, so you can bust these videos out in like 30 seconds with the video template tool. So yeah. All right, let's go back to. There we go. All right. Next is ad copy formats. Whoops. Ad copy formats. The first one is one of my favorites, and if any of you guys have seen like Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross, you already kind of know about this. It's AIDA, attention, interest, decision, and action. Basically, the first sentence is going to be something attention grabbing. The next sentence should be something that that gets them interested. Then the next one tries to push them kind of towards a decision, and the last one is telling them to take an action on that decision. The next kind of ad copy format is a one-liner text, like a kind of a clickbaity one. I generally don't recommend that you use this. It does have some uses if you're doing like news articles or something like that, and it'd be like, 12 things your grandma doesn't want you to know, or like, I don't know, that was a bad one, but it's like those ones that you see all the time where it's like, the 8 gadgets you must have this year, like check out number 6, stuff like that. So those can do well, but you want to kind of modify it up because Facebook doesn't like super clickbaity stuff. This one I find works really, really well is the testimonial copy, where it's basically a quote. Wow, I really, really love these shoes. They're so comfortable. End quote. Mary from Kansas. All new designs in stock. 10% off sale now. Like, get it here. Link. That would be like an example of a testimonial copy. Basically, it's just like a testimonial with like a one little liner of text and a link. Super simple, but it's very effective, both for cold traffic and retargeting, especially retargeting. And then long form or like a story is I find doing better and better also, which is basically like 2 or 3 paragraphs. Think around 300 to 500 words, somewhere in that range. And you're going to be telling them a story. Okay. Next is reporting. You want to make sure this should be obvious. You guys should have the pixel on every single step of your funnel. Make sure you can see this in your reporting also. I like to personally in my reporting break it down like step 1 visits, then the next column over, step 2 visits, step 3 visits, and so on. So you can kind of see like how people progress through your funnel right in your reporting. It makes it a lot easier. Make sure you're using CPC link and CTR link and link clicks, not just the regular CPC, CTR, and clicks. Otherwise, you're getting the wrong stats. See, people make that mistake all the time. Once you have a lot of traffic, then you guys should be doing breakdowns by age, gender, placement device, time of day, et cetera, et cetera. There is one report I wanted to show you guys that I see no one ever do, and it makes a huge difference. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to go in your on a actually you could even go on an ad account level. So if you want to look at all, by the way, if you don't know this, you can look at all your data on an ad account level if you just click account overview and then scroll all the way to the bottom. Okay, there's this little box here just like you normally get in your reporting. Okay, and then one great breakdown. Oh, I did a lot of international traffic on this though. That's fine. So here's the one. You want to do a breakdown by region, okay? So region in the US, we'll break it down by state. Region in other countries, if they have regions, we'll break it down by that. like provinces and so on. Let's give this a second. Just find one that was all US. Use a different ad account actually. Okay, this is one of our old client ad accounts. This is going to be easier to show you because it was all US only. Let's look at lifetime. Okay, and then we're going to pick one of these that spent a bunch. So this one campaign spent 140,000. We'll use this one. Filter by selection. Okay, so we can only see this now. And then again, we're going to do the breakdown by region. Okay, and it's going to show you basically how your ads did on a state level. You're going to see some states were really good, some states are okay, and some are terrible. Okay, you don't want to only target your good states because the audience will be too small. But what you can do is just exclude the shitty states, okay, so that your audience is still going to be nice and big, but you're not going to be wasting money on states that just don't convert. So for this specific client, our cost per lead goal, I believe, was about $20 to $25. So anything much over $20 we wanted to cut, and anything below that was obviously doing quite well. So you see here California is at a $12. That's great. Texas at 21, we'll take it. It's good volume. All these are under 20, under 20, under 20, 23. We're still kicking there good. Now we're getting to Louisiana, $31. That's not profitable. You can just exclude Louisiana. Okay, keep going, keep going, keep going. $24, it's getting a little high. 27 here, Nebraska, cut it. $32 in Alaska, cut it. Oh, there's some international going on there. But you'll basically find like at least a handful of states, like here 26, cut it, Arkansas. You'll basically find a handful of states where you're just throwing money away, and you can just exclude it from your ad set. Yeah.
Would you exclude it while the ad set's running live, or would you create a new ad set?
If your ad set is doing good the way it is, I would do it in a new ad set. But if your ad set's not doing great as is, then I would just do it on the existing ad set.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I would normally recommend not touching an existing ad set unless it's a budget. But if it's doing shitty already, you have nothing to lose.
Obviously, the more data you have, the better. But at what number of impressions are you looking at to make these decisions?
It's not really impressions. It's more just a significant amount. So you see that like each of these two or three. We're talking, anywhere from 50 to 100 leads per state. That's to me enough data to like make a decision. So it's not really about impressions. It's more about like, and if there's only like 3 conversion difference, like that's not enough. It's got to be significant. Like I wouldn't really start doing these breakdowns until you spend at least 100 grand, typically. Yeah.
This question is going back to the ad creative. I was just curious what your experience is, long form versus, particularly an info product, long versus shorter.
Typically in info products, long is going to almost always win. And you'll see Jordan does a lot of info products, and his copy is always really good, and he pretty much always does long form.
How long is too long? Because sometimes I feel like I write way the hell too much.
So I wrote an ad one time, and it was like 6,042 characters, which is like way too long. Like you would never think that would ever work. And there's only one link that was at the very, very bottom. And I ran it as a page post. So there's no headline, no button, nothing. But for info products, when you can bring people into a story and like really get them emotionally connected with the entrepreneur and get them to identify with that person, whatever it is. Like this one, we wrote one for Sam that was about how I retired my parents in St. Lucia. At that point, yeah, a lot of characters are devoted to like pulling the heartstrings, but at the same time, you need all of those. So I don't think too long is necessarily a thing as long as the copy's good. If the copy sucks, then 5 words is too long.
Totally agree. Yeah, and just think about it too, all you guys. Like, how many times you see in your own Facebook feed, one of your friends just do a post, and you get caught up reading it, and like next thing you know, you just like wasted 6 minutes of your life reading like their story that really has no like, you know, no point in your life, you know. But yet you read the whole thing, you know. Yeah, definitely try long form ads because a lot of times, and more, they're doing very well. Next is custom audiences. You want to make sure you make custom audiences for every step of your funnel. You know, for amount spent ranges if applicable, time spent on site. You know, make them based on visited within X number of days, so you can show them different ads and so on. And I'm just going to show you guys here. Clear. Oh, and just while I'm on it, you see I have like ad leaks too. This is this ad account. This is just a backup ad account sitting here just in case I have an issue with my main account. Highly recommend you guys do that also for anything you deem very important to your business. Always have at least one backup ad account just like sitting ready to go. Okay. All right, so I just want to show you guys that I take my own advice here too. I have you know, offline activity from everything in the last 2 years. New promo video I did, 95% view, 75, 50, 25, 10 second, and 3 second. Basically like every possible thing you can do, I do. Lookalikes of all different percentages from one video, lookalikes from a different one. Phone funnel, thank you page visitors, step 2 visitors, step 1 visitors, all visitors. I uploaded lists from my ad buyer meetups from each one separately, then I merged them all together. Holiday video ones, you know, literally pretty much like every single, you know, all visitors, last 180, last 90, last 30. Pretty much like almost everything you can do, you should be making like tons of freaking audiences because it's gonna make you a lot of money at the end of the day when you can break out tons of lookalikes for different stuff. Lookalikes are awesome. You guys should all be using lookalikes. Personally, I almost always do I don't do the advanced lookalike where you could do like a range, like 1 to 3 or 5 to 7%. I typically do like a 0 to 1, 0 to 2, 0 to 3. So basically you get those really large audiences. And I do all the way to up to 10%. And I find a lot of times that it depends on the situation, but a lot of times bigger lookalikes will do very, very well because it has a larger audience. All right, and one thing that's really cool that you can do, you can't do it in Ads Manager yet, but you can do it in third-party tools. Oh, question?
How are you avoiding overlap when you do 0 to 1, 0 to 2, 0 to 3? Are you excluding?
I'm not avoiding overlap. And you know, if I have, let's say, 10 different ad sets, each one with 1%, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, then I just kill the ones that aren't doing well. And typically that could be because of overlap, but I really don't care what the reason is. As long as I have some that are doing good, then rock and roll.
And the ones you'd kill, like the one you're leaving running gets stronger anyway, right? Mm-hmm. Once you kill the other ones.
Yep, exactly. Because then the overlap's going down even more when you kill the bad ones, right?
Cool. So will you test the lookalikes with your shotgun method?
Absolutely.
Okay, and then you do the same thing, like you'll kill them. I don't know if we've gone through it yet, but you'll kill them in the morning. You won't wait 3 days before you start killing them.
No, I kill them in the morning if they spent enough, just per the shotgun rules. But then I'll turn it on again the next day. And if it does shitty, like multiple days in a row is when I kill it for good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Cool. So this is one thing I want to go over real quick is intersecting lookalike audiences. You can't do this in Ads Manager, but you can do it in like Quaya and other like third-party tools like that. And it basically looks something like this. You know, you can like do a narrow audience, right? Like already on Facebook, you can say, you know, I like people that like baseball, narrow further, people that also like Nike, okay? So then it's people that like baseball overlap with people that like Nike. So only people that like baseball and Nike are going to be seen, be shown your ads. So you can do the same concept with lookalikes, just not in Facebook. So you can say, for example, I want a 10% lookalike of my visitors, overlapped with an 8% of people that made it to step 2 in my funnel, overlapped with a 4% filled out my form, overlapped with a 2% like converted on the phone kind of thing. And then you get that super, it's going to be a smaller audience, but you get that segment right in the middle where they're likely to visit, pretty likely to make it to step 2, very likely to fill the form out, and extremely likely to be a lead. So you get this like really, really powerful audience when you do this. Okay, here's an example for e-com. And this is another reason why you want to make lookalikes of all these different sizes, 1 through 10%, because you need to kind of play around with this so that you end up with a decent sized audience after you do the overlapping. Again, here's like a 10% lookalike of your visitors, mixed with like a 6% add to cart, mixed with like a 4% of your purchasers. And that should leave you with somewhere around like a 4 million size audience, something like that, if I had to guess. QWAYA. Here's just another example. So you could do like a 10% lookalike of visitors, 8% add to cart, 6% purchasers, then you could layer on some interest or something if you want also. All right. Yeah, I found doing this alone actually, especially when I was doing the mass torts, because those audiences are pretty hard to target. That I dropped my costs like 20 or 30% per lead when I started intersecting lookalikes. All right. Never before seen slide. Okay, so a lot of people ask me like, hey, you have a lot of methods. Like, when do I use which one? Like, what order should I use them in? What are they used for? What are the differences, kind of? So that's what this is for. So generally, I start here, okay, 388 method for testing. Okay, that way I'm giving all these different audiences a good, fair chance. I'm giving all my ads a good chance across the board, and I'm kind of trying to find out what works, right? So I'm typically starting out testing with the 388. Okay, then once I find some winning ads, winning audiences, etc., I move to the next phase. Now, let's say that you don't really have any winning ads and audiences. You need to start from scratch. Try some new audiences. Try some new ads. Maybe it's your landing page. Maybe you need to go optimize your landing page. Whatever it is, unless I have some success here, I don't move forward, okay? I revamp this one. So once you do have some success, okay, then I move here. And I usually start then with the cloud method, which I'm going to go over here in a little bit. If the cloud doesn't do so hot, then I'll usually try the sneak attack, okay, which I'm going to go over also. Then once you get up to around $5,000 to $10,000 a day, these ones are not as effective. They don't scale, to the moon, we'll say. But Shotgun 2.0, which I think a lot of you guys saw that one at iStack. Shotgun 2.0, you can scale that to 100K a day, 150K a day, however much you want to spend, basically. It's scalable. So that's kind of the order that I do things in, just so you can kind of have a feel for it. Okay, next I want to go over the algorithm. Let's see what time it is real quick. Okay, cool, perfect. So next I want to go over the algorithm. These are in no particular order, okay? First part of the algorithm is time, okay? I use time as in a loose way, but for multiple things. So first way would be what time you start your ad set, okay? If you want your ad set to pace evenly through the day, then you'd start it at midnight. But you don't always want to start your ad. You don't always want it to pace evenly. There's some benefits to doing it a different way. So if you can start your ads part way into the day the first time, or every time if you want. And what this does is it basically like rushes traffic in, because Facebook's trying to get that budget that you missed in the morning. It's trying to spend your whole budget, so it like rushes traffic in. And to do this, it prioritizes you and puts you higher in the news feed so that you get more clicks and impressions, okay? And this basically like artificially gives you a higher CTR because you're higher in the news feed, right? If you're all the way, you're bidding really low and you have a low budget, Facebook, is going to put you like way in the bottom of the news feed, and then your CTR is not going to be great, right? Because how likely is someone to click your ad if they just scrolled past like 15 other people's ads and didn't click anything, right? It's not very likely. So pro tip, you can start your ads partway into the day ongoing. We found with some clients that just letting it run 24/7 actually didn't do so hot. Then as soon as we would pause at midnight and then turn it back on at say 4 a.m., that like extra little push that it gave was all we needed, and it gave us a 0.5% higher CTR, and boom, that dropped our costs enough to make it happen. Okay, and here's kind of like an extreme example. Time also plays a factor in the sense of virality. So let's say that you have ad 1 and ad 2, this red ad and the blue ad. They both kind of make it to the same number of visitors eventually, right? They're both right about there. But one of them, you ran high budget, so you got there really fast. This one, you like slow and steady, and you finally got there. Which ad do you think Facebook prefers? Right? Because it's more viral. To Facebook, this looks like a better ad. Okay, even though it's maybe the exact same thing, but to Facebook, it's fresher, it's newer, less time went by, right? All right. Next part is the bid and the click-through rate. These are very, very important. The bully method. So this is one of my favorites. You just basically start your bid really high and just never change it. And you're actually like literally bullying your competitors out of the market. Your cost will typically be a little high for the first few days because you're literally making other people pause because their costs are too high, and then your competition's going to go down. Okay, so this is especially useful for a couple of you guys that I talked to that were in Australia that have smaller audiences. This is especially useful for pushing out competition. It works great in smaller audiences. It also works great in big audiences too, but you're literally bullying people out. So it does take a few days for you to see a lower cost because you got to wait for those people to pause, It has a lot of benefits also. Typically, you'll find that this method will actually lower your cost per conversion. You'd think that bidding way higher, your cost would go up, but that's not necessarily the case. The reason being that when you bid higher, you're getting higher ad placement in the newsfeed. And just like that, we went over with time, where they rush in your budget a little bit. If you factor that in with also a really high bid, you're getting even a better placement in the newsfeed, which leads to a higher CTR, right? With a higher CTR, what do you get? Higher relevance score. What does that mean? That means you get a lower cost per click, and thus a lower conversion cost, right? And one thing important to note, though, is that you actually get better quality users. It's not just about the cost here. It's also about the quality, right? All you e-com people, and even lead gen, quality is a big thing, right? Your AOV, your lifetime value, et cetera, right? So the way that machine learning works on Facebook, though, is they bucket people into different buckets, okay? There's this big money here, the one you want. These are the people that Facebook has a lot of data on. They're getting a lot of signals from these people. These people are visiting your competitor sites, adding to cart, but they didn't quite purchase. They're looking at these things on Amazon. They're on Best Buy looking at similar products. These people are ready to buy, okay? Facebook kind of knows they're ready to buy. You're bidding on purchases. You have a high bid. You have a good CTR. Boom, you're getting these users, okay? Let's say you're bidding a little lower. You have a smaller budget. You're bidding low. You're going to start getting these users that Facebook doesn't have as much signals on. They said, okay, these people might buy, maybe, good chance. These people are like, they might buy, who knows? These ones are like, we have no clue if they're going to buy or not. So when you bid higher, you get these users that spend more money right off the bat. They have higher AOVs, higher lifetime values, and it's going to convert. It's going to be more consistent for you also, because Facebook can more easily predict that these users are going to purchase. You're going to have more consistency day to day, okay? Quality and purity there. So another thing to think about is that when you start your ad account, right, you're starting to make lookalikes on your visitors. You're collecting your visitors into audiences. You're collecting your add to cart people into audiences. You're making lookalikes on these people, right? Do you want lookalikes based on these visitors that Facebook doesn't know if they're going to buy? They didn't buy. They have low AOV. You get some good days, some bad days, because Facebook doesn't have a clue like if they're going to buy or not. Or do you want lookalikes of these people that spend more money, that are more consistent, that are very engaged shoppers, right? So when you start your bid low on an ad account in general, it's kind of tough to get out of this realm here, even if you up your bid later, because then you're mixing these two. So that's why it does help to start with a higher bid and right off the get-go. Okay, the next part of the algorithm is a question?
All right, cool. If you've already got an ad set running and you've got a relatively low bid or just normal kind of bidding, would you suggest kind of duping that and then going at a high bid at the right time just to get all those factors playing? Or if it's working already, would you just suggest using
If it's working, just don't touch it.
Okay.
But as soon as it stops working, then try it.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does your daily budget affect how the algo bids for you if you're on auto bid?
Okay, good question. Actually, that's a great question. So on auto bid, Facebook is adjusting your budget all during the day. Okay. So in the morning, it might be a little bit low. Then Facebook says, hey, we're not getting into enough auctions. It automatically raises your bid on the back end. Once it starts thinking you're pacing at a good pace, then it leaves your bid alone. And then as it gets through the day, it slowly lowers your bid so that the traffic, it tries to make it pace evenly. So basically, as the day is getting closer to the end, it starts lowering your bid until the traffic kind of cuts when it hits your budget.
So, but obviously, if I have it at 20 as opposed to 5, it has more room to play with in terms of like how much it could bid. Right?
Say that again?
If I have it at 20 instead of 5, it has more room to play with in terms of like how much it can bid.
Correct. Yeah. So when you bid a lot higher, you just enter a lot more auctions, and that's why one of the reasons too that it's harder to scale on auto bid. Because let's say that on auto, let's just say your conversions cost $20. Facebook's probably bidding, if I had to guess on the back end, maybe like 25 or 30-ish to make sure it gets you those conversions. But then let's say you crank your budget up, right? You triple your budget or something. Facebook on the back end is going to more than triple your bid, okay? Out of nowhere though. And because of history, actually, because the history of the ad account, it's not used to that, your costs go through the roof. Because you haven't trained your ad account to get you that many conversions a day, you haven't trained it to see the right audience. Basically, you've just been like when Facebook only needs to find you like 10 sales a day, let's say, it's pretty easy, right? It's like low-hanging fruit. When you try to go when you go up to a higher budget, Facebook then has to completely transition away from that and try different users. So that's why scaling can be difficult if you don't kind of start it out right, but. Okay, so next part is history, and this is fairly simple. You have basically Facebook's looking at your history on every single possible thing they could be. That'd be the ad account level history, the page level, the campaign level, ad set, audience, ad creative, and they're looking at stuff like the average cost per acquisition, your click-through rate, your cost per click, the quality, which is very important, which users converted, and so on. Okay, Facebook is actively looking at all this. Okay, the next thing is the creative type, and this one's really important. The algo chooses which creative type to show a user based on a lot of factors. It's stuff like which ad types they clicked before. If someone normally clicks a video ad and they don't click normally other ads, Facebook will show them more video ads, right? If people just don't watch videos on their thing and they only click image ads, well, guess what? They're going to get more image ads from Facebook because Facebook is trying to optimize their revenue, right? Device they're logging from currently. Let's say that Facebook sees that, okay, when Tim's on his laptop, he consumes more video, but when he's on his phone, he usually just clicks image ads, Then when I'm on my laptop, they're going to show me mostly videos, and I'm on my phone, they're going to show me mostly images and not videos, right? So they're looking at the same thing too, Wi-Fi and your bandwidth speed. If they see that you have really low bandwidth, everything's taking a long time to load, they're probably not going to show you some high quality long video because they know you're probably not going to watch it, right? Same thing if you're on Wi-Fi or not. So Facebook's looking at a lot of these factors. They're also looking at product type. They're looking at keywords, metadata, and so on to see what users converted for your competitors, and they're going to try to kind of serve you similar users to that. Also same thing, which creative type users like them converted on. So if people like your customers converted on a lot of desktop or a certain on a video, they're going to show them more videos and so on. This is super important. So this is not, I want to preface this is not officially from Facebook or anything, okay? This is just my best guess as to how much, where the inventory is on Facebook and how much of it there is. So if I had to guess, I'd say that roughly 2/3, maybe a little less, around there though, roughly 2/3 of the inventory on Facebook is dedicated to video. So if you're not doing video ads right now, you're stuck with smaller percentage. You're like missing a whole piece of the auction, okay? And that's why video is so important, because Facebook is prioritizing video still right now. So then you've got, if I had to guess, I'd say that like image or link ads is maybe like 22%, maybe 25% of the overall auction, okay? And this is important. So say that you have like an audience size of 2 million. You're like, cool, I have a good audience size, right? Well, let's say you're only doing a link ad though. You're only actually getting access to maybe 500,000 of those users. And then you got to look at how many are actually signing in daily. It's probably like half that. So your audience size actually gets very small if you don't have multiple creative types in there. Okay, then next would be your carousel and DPA, some lead ads, and so on. So there's little percentages of all those also, right? So it's important, I find, to put multiple creative types in every ad set. So in every ad set, I'll typically have a couple, 2 or 3 video ads, maybe a carousel, maybe a canvas ad, a couple link ads, etc. So that no matter what, I get to be in that auction and get to hit a user. Because if that user is on their mobile and not on Wi-Fi, I'm probably going to hit them. Facebook will probably be like, hit them with the image ad. If they're on their laptop, they're probably going to hit them with my video ad. So I can get that user no matter where they're at. If you only have one type, you're really limiting Facebook. All right, next part is quality. And this part's super, super important. It's very similar to the history. They're basically looking at like everything. Actually, I'll just go right here. What makes up quality, okay, is stuff like comment sentiment. Sentiment, which is like, basically are the words in the comments like mostly positive or mostly negative? If a lot of the people in your comments are being like, oh, we hate this, this is a scam, you guys suck, there's a lot of bad words, like negative words in there, right? So Facebook's going to say, hey, this quality is low, okay? This user has low quality stuff. If people in the comments are like, oh, we love this, this is a great product, great customer service, A+, stuff like that, those all have a very positive connotation, okay? So Facebook's going to reward you, okay, and give you cheaper traffic. If you have bad comment sentiment, they're going to give you more expensive traffic because they know that the user experience is not as good. Okay, obviously this is people that hide, mark as spam, or report your posts. Obviously that counts against you. Customer feedback surveys. Facebook, for those of you guys that may not be aware, after anyone does a purchase, Facebook chooses a percentage of those people, and in like a week or 2 weeks, around that time, they pop up a little survey to those people, and they say, hey, did you get the product? How was the customer service from this company? How was the product quality? Was it a good experience? And based on that, they give you a score, okay? So the score looks something like this. 2 is the target. That's like the average, so to speak. Anything above that, and you're good. And you'll actually get cheaper traffic from Facebook. Anything below that, and it's going to cost you more. And if it gets below a 1, you actually risk losing your ad account. So I would definitely pay attention to this. You can see your score if you go to facebook.com/ads/customer_feedback. It's not available for all pages, which is weird. Like only some of my pages have it, but it should be on. I'm sure a lot of you do have it. And if you scroll down on that page also, it also shows you like exactly what your customer said. It gives you some of the reviews there that you could see. It tells you what they rated highly, what they rated low, on a low scale, etc. Facebook, to determine quality, is also looking at stuff like this. They're looking at page views per user, okay? They're looking at the bounce rate. They're looking at page load time. They're looking at the time on site. All of these are very important metrics for Facebook, okay? So if you have like a 1-page lander and a ton of people are bouncing and it takes forever to load, and you have negative comments, like forget it. There's no way you're going to be profitable because you have so much stuff counting against you. So a little pro tip here is you can delay your pixel fire actually. So you can do it with Google Tag Manager, you can do it with PHP, and a variety of other ways, but basically you can make it so your pixel on your page doesn't load for like 10 seconds on the back end. And by this time, all the users that were going to bounce have bounced, okay? You don't really want to retarget those people anyway, right? They like didn't really want to be there. And then you don't want 80% of your lookalike to be based on bad people either. Then your page views per user goes up. Your page load time is super quick because your page is pretty much already loaded. your time on site's much higher because you're getting rid of all those people that spent less than 1 second on your site. So basically, like, it helps like all your metrics. Okay, then negative feedback. Negative feedback's a big one. I've kind of backed it out into like a little of a ratio. So how I do it is if you go to your page insights or the page post area and you click on one of the posts, it gives you all these stats. Okay, you know how many shares you got, likes, you know, reactions, and so on and so forth. This is what I would consider like a normal negative feedback rate. And what I do basically is I just add up all these negative feedbacks. 5 people hit the post, 5 people hide all posts, and 3 people reported this as spam. Okay, so I just add those up. So that's 13 total. Okay, and then I divide that by the total reach. 217,000 in this case, right? So 13 divided by 217,000 is 0.006%. Okay, I've done a few averages, and that seems to be like an average negative feedback rate, which is good. Obviously, if you have something below that, it's even better. But that's like the average rate. Okay. Now here's another ad we ran. Remember the other one had 200-something thousand reach. This one only had 130, much lower. But this one had 227 negative feedbacks. 133 people hit the post, 89 hide all posts, and 5 reported as spam. I'm sure report as spam probably counts worse than those other ones too. But so that's 227 negative things divided by 130,000 reach equals 0.1%. That's what, like 100 times worse than the other one, I think, 0.006%. Yeah, I think that is actually 100 times worse. 100 times worse than the other ad. So on this one, my rep actually called me and said, hey, you should probably get rid of this ad and delete it because you're about to lose your ad account. I'm like, well, thank you for letting me know, you know. So I screenshotted it before I did this. But yeah, if you get anything by 0.1%, you need to like literally just delete that ad, and you just like rework your angle, change the image. I'm sure this is a page-like ad too, which is crazy, but yeah.
Tim, would you say that was a targeting miss, or is it?
Oh no, that was totally the image. Totally the image. And maybe partly a targeting miss, but like most Trump supporters were like still are like kind of undercover. So you know, this ad with the Trump thing on the White House, you know, this was before the election too. It was like during the election, before he got elected. So it was like even more controversial then. So it was just pushing the limits a little too much. I knew it would get a lot of engagement, but I thought it'd be like a little bit better engagement, you know? Cool, so let's say that you have negative feedback, right? Or you have maybe a low quality score, your costs keep going up and you don't really know why. This is generally why, it's because of negative feedback. So what can you do? Well, step 1 is you can run page post engagement, okay? What I usually do is I'll dedicate 5 to 10% of the budget to PPE just for the first few days, and then slowly lower that until your cost per conversion goes up. Generally, this will lower your cost per conversion on your conversion campaigns, okay? Because it's increasing the engagement rate of your ad and on a page level, okay? So 5 to 10% of the budget. Then if that doesn't lower your costs enough, like this should make a difference, but if that doesn't make enough of a difference, the next step I move to is this: run a page-like campaign. Just spend 10 or 20 bucks daily. What this is doing is it's adding new people to your new fans to your page that have not yet complained against you. They have not yet given you negative feedback, you know? So it lowers your negative feedback rate. This I find helps a little bit. The big boy here, if you have really bad negative feedback, this should do the trick. Step 3 is do like a reach campaign. When you do these, you get like CPMs that are wicked cheap, like $1 to $3 or $4 max in the US. So super cheap CPMs. And since this is a reach campaign, the objective is just to reach people. It's people that are not likely to comment something negative, not likely to click your page, not likely to really do anything, okay, except see your ad, which is good because if you remember, then that, go back a couple, then that total people reach goes through the roof, goes way up for cheap, and hopefully, since those people are not likely to really do anything, they won't like give you negative feedback. So generally, that makes a really big difference. And it's very important for all of these that you use the same post IDs, okay? Because it needs to increase the engagement or decrease the negative feedback on a post ID level, okay? So that it helps all of your ads. All right, engagement. So I kind of just mentioned it, but so I always do this thing I call like I need to find a more catchy name, but the PPE warm up. What I do is I typically will start, like I said, with the 3 at 8. We do the conversions, the video views, right, and the PPE. The PPE is to crank the engagement up. Not only does it get you some social proof on your ad, which is very important, but it also increases the engagement rate of your ads and on a page level. And the page level engagement rate is very important, okay? So I usually start PPE at 5 to 10% of the budget just for the first few days, and then I slowly lower it until I see my conversion costs start to up, and then I just put it back a little bit. And I find that usually the sweet spot is like 2% or so of the budget to PPE. Is usually what ends up happening. Again, you need to use the same post IDs, or otherwise it's almost useless. It won't help you nearly as much. You can also do this. I call it like comment stacking. So the first comment and the first like on every ad is like the hardest thing to get. No one wants to be the first one in. So just trying to help that, what I do is I comment from the page on each ad initially, right when I make it, and then reply a few times to that comment, and then like all the replies and like that main comment. So you can hopefully get that main, you know, when your ad is shown to people, they can usually see the top 1 or 2 comments. I want one of those comments at least to be from me. So it's not from some customer giving me some shitty review or something, you know. What I've recently started doing, I don't think I have a slide for this, you guys have maybe even seen it yourself, is I make that main comment, hey, we respect your news feed. If you don't want to see these ads, click unsubscribe. Like, we'll miss you, you know? And then it's just a link to a page on my site, like an unsubscribe page, where I just exclude, I make it a custom audience of anyone that hits that page, and then I just exclude that from all my ad sets, okay? This way, they're not complaining to Facebook, they're complaining to me, which is totally cool. It counts as a link click, it counts as an engagement when they click, and it doesn't hurt my negative feedback rate. It actually helps my engagement rate, okay? And I'm not gonna be wasting impressions on people. So it's kind of like a win-win. You get like less people hating on your comments, less negative feedback, higher engagement, so it actually works out really nicely in all ways. Okay, something cool you can do, you can actually see your engagement rate overall. If you go to into the business manager settings, then to your page, then to, I believe it's post insights, I think it's called, or insights. And then if you scroll down, you'll see this, which is like all your recent posts. And then this little box in the top right up here where it says engagement rate. It's something else by default, I forget what it is, but if you click the little drop down, you can change it to engagement rate, and then you can see your engagement rate per post, okay? So then you can say, hey, oh, no wonder that ad did so good. It had a 3% engagement rate instead of the other ones that had 2%. And then you can say, you can also see here like what kind of post it was, like photo or like a link and so on. So you can kind of get a feel for what's doing good. You'll have some insight into maybe why things didn't do good. Maybe the engagement rate wasn't high enough. So it's just a good way to give insight. All right. Next is social proof thresholds. Okay. I find that basically when you have more social proof, it dramatically can reduce your costs on your ads. So basically, 10 is the first threshold. You don't really notice. Basically, you don't really notice a difference until you hit 1,000 likes, comments, / shares. And then once you hit 10,000, it's a massive difference. But videos, since we're mostly using videos these days, videos makes a big difference. So the first 10,000, it's pretty hard to get people to watch a video that has less than 10,000 views, honestly, unless it's a short video. Once you hit 100,000 videos, people might actually watch it. It's like a little bit of views. But once you hit 1 million views, it's money, okay? So if I'm like running and I have like 850,000 views and I'm breaking even, I'll keep going until I hit 1 million, because typically my costs will drop like 20, 25% drop on my cost per conversion, just because I have more views. You know, it's like anytime you see a video in your news feed, you look at the thumbnail and you're like, oh, it looks like some stupid squirrel video, but damn, it has 1.5 million views. I better watch this, make sure I don't miss something, you know? So it gives you kind of FOMO. So that hitting that million is an important mark to hit. So comment and page management. I get these questions all the time too. People always ask, like, should I hide or delete the comments? Should I respond to people? Should I respond to people that are being really rude? And I always try to give the example of like, if you walk into like Best Buy and you ask them, hey, are you guys a scam? Just like people ask on your ads, they're gonna be like, no, we've been around for years. Like, you know, here's our manager, come shake our hand. Here's our return policy. Look at all the awards that we've won as a store. Browse around, we're happy to help you, whatever, right? They're gonna be professional. They're not gonna kick you out of the store because you asked if it was a scam, right? Now, if you walk into Best Buy and you start swearing, of course they're gonna kick you out, okay? So do the same thing with your page posts, right? If someone comes in asking like a legitimate question, even that, like, is this a scam? Other people have that same question, they just might not comment on it. But if you can respond professionally to it and kind of convince them that you're not a scam, then other people that also have the same thought are gonna read it and be like, okay, I'm convinced too, maybe I'll buy now. But if someone's like coming and swearing, you definitely wanna delete that and ban them from the page. So you should basically respond to all comments. Try to hide comments and not delete. When you delete, you're actually deleting your engagement. And your engagement rate will go down. So try to hide the comments instead of deleting. I put this on here, but I really don't recommend you do this unless you like have to. But if you're getting like really bad comments, one, you should fix the reason you're getting the bad comments, like make your customer service better or your product better or whatever. But in the meantime, what you can do is on a page level, you can put words that you want to automatically block comments. You can just put every word from the dictionary in there. And then basically it'll auto hide all your comments. And then you could just have somebody or yourself go in and unhide the good ones. There won't be very many, you know? So I don't really recommend that. I recommend you just do things legitimately and have good comments, but worst case, do that. This next thing, page management. I had one client in Australia actually, and they've been to like 2 or 3 of my masterminds and like, okay, we've implemented like most of the stuff you go over, what else can we do to lower our costs? So I like look through all their stuff. I'm like, oh, you guys are doing a good job there, good job there. I look at their page and I see nothing but ads, I'm like, oh, you guys, you got to post stuff on your page once in a while. That's not an ad, How many big companies you see only have ads, right? None. So I told them, I'm like, hey, just post 2 or 3 times a week, like a meme or like a funny video or a link to an interesting article, something that your page fans will enjoy, something that's not an ad, something that's engaging, and then boost it, okay? Boost it to your page fans. So they did that 2 to 3 times a week. That alone dropped their cost per lead by 25 to 30%. Just doing that, because it raises your quality score and it raises your page level engagement rate, which then makes all your conversions cost less because Facebook's prioritizing you more.
Yeah, does Facebook calculate a ban rate or watch that and calculate it as a figure relative to like page size?
I don't know for absolute certainty, but I would assume if you're banning like a much higher number of people than other pages, it'll probably flag you for manual review or something. Yeah. All right. Competition. So I find you only really have 2 competitors when you're running Facebook ads. First competitor, and the biggest problem is usually yourself. And then obviously everyone else, right? So with competition, one thing that's working a lot better is if you have larger audiences, then you have a lower net competition because Facebook can find people that within that audience that are lower competition, right? So the way to figure this out though is to use delivery insights. Okay, so you can see like auction versus audience overlap. Audience overlap, if you have the exact same 2 audiences, that is 100% audience overlap, right? But I don't give a shit about that. That's perfectly fine. Auction overlap, you could have the 2 same audiences, but they may not overlap at all on the auction because depending on which way the ads go, maybe it shows it to this pocket of people and this ad set shows it to that pocket of people. So you could have 0% auction overlap. And auction overlap is really the only thing that matters, okay? You can actually see competition change now in delivery insights, which is really cool. And I find that anything like 20% auction overlap or below is okay. It doesn't seem to really hurt you. Once you start getting to 25, 30% auction overlap, it actually will raise your costs on like all your ad sets that have that overlap. So You want to make sure you stay below that. If you are going over that, then you just start like excluding some audiences. Maybe break stuff up by age, break stuff up by placement. Just do whatever you can to like lower that overlap. The competition change section is really cool. It shows a percentage of increase or decrease daily on your auction competition. So sometimes you can go in and say, oh, my auction competition went up 30% today. No wonder my costs are through the roof. You'll see other days it went down and so on. So it's actually just a really cool thing to look at. Yeah, whatever. Next part is budget. This part's pretty simple. Your ad obviously doesn't enter the auction if you don't have any budget remaining. That should be the algorithm. I feel like prioritizes larger budgets because it's not necessarily because it's larger, but because you're getting more conversions, and then it's easier for the algorithm to find you new users. Yeah, feeding Facebook the algo more data is money, and of course, large budgets also allow for faster optimization and surfing. Okay, let's take a quick 5-minute bathroom break.